Hey guys, welcome to Winecraft. My name is Mario Luna. I'm a certified sommelier with MarioLunaSomm.com, where we develop the sommelier in you. This week, I created a flavor guide of your favorite West Coast Cabernet Sauvignon. That's California and Washington State. I created that because I want to help create an item to help you remember what the best wine for you should be, could be, and then will be. So what came to this idea was I went to a wine spectator event in Las Vegas, the Grand Tour at the Mirage, and there's 200 booths, there's all these wine professionals everywhere, people are pouring wine from the booths, and then it just occurred to me, I went to it for 4 straight years, and I thought, how do people remember this? I know, like, I'm in the industry. It's a requirement for me to remember all like 150, 200 booths that I attend to and what the flavor profiles are like. But not you. This is not your job. But I want to make it easy for you if you are a fan of Cabernet Sauvignon from the West Coast, so California and Washington State. So I'm going to break down with my notes what the Cabernet Sauvignons typically smell like, feel like, yeah. And then go over my ground rules for the flavor guide and then create the separation of distinctive characteristics with 5 different areas in the West Coast. So let's get started. Let's get started because there are a ton of information that I'm going to go over to help you remember your favorite Cabernet Sauvignon from the West Coast. So here's what the typical flavors of Cabernet Sauvignons are. Blackberry, cherry, blueberry, mocha, tobacco, bell pepper. The wine is fruity, it's big, it's bold, it's dry. It's a sweet finish, meaning that the fruit has sugar elements that you can actually feel, but it's not sugary where it's like, oh man, too sweet. No, just keep that in mind. And the wine's very tannic, that dry sensation you feel along the gum lines. And here are my 5 rules to help you remember the different areas, because the area, the geography determines the flavor difference. So, number 1, the more north you go, the sweeter the fruit. So chances are, when you're in Washington State, you tend to taste a little bit more sweeter fruit. Now, in retrospect, the more south you go, number 2, the warmer the finish. Think about it. You're going towards the equator. It's hot. The wines can be hot. So number 3, the higher the elevation, the more roasted fruit. The closer you are to the sun, the more time the sun penetrates the vines, which creates more of a cooked flavor. I love that style. I will show you a beautiful comparison in a moment there. And now we're going the opposite direction. The lower the elevation, the more terroir flavor. That's that more clay note, what the earth brings to the wine. So this is usually the area where people get a little confused when they try to differentiate or trying to find their favorite cab, and they're thinking, man, this is dirty. This is not what I want. Or some people will say, you know what, I don't like a lot of fruit, but this is good for me. Hey, it just depends on the person. And then finally, make sure you have a map of Washington State to California and check out the information in the right and how it changes. Speaking of which, start with Columbia Valley, Washington. Now, in Columbia Valley, being so far north, it's a sweet fruit feel, cool finish, because you're so far away from the equator. And then there's some roasted and terroir notes. Just the fact that, the mountains go up and down, all over the place, all through southern Washington State. And I hope you get a chance to try the example that I gave you, because that is what Washington Cabernet Sauvignons are down to the T. Anyway, next, the difference between Napa Valley's floor and mountain, because along the floor, that's like Rutherford, Oakville, and in the mountains, like anything that says mountain, like Spring Mountain, Howell Mountain, Diamond Mountain, all those areas, I mean, just the geography creates big difference. For example, on the floor, you get a little bit more of a dusty terroir notes. And being in somewhat of an elevated area already, you have a little bit of that roasted and sweet finish in the fruit. While in the mountain, it just being in high elevation, you get the most fruit forwardness, more roasted fruit, a little bit of the sweetest fruit that California has to offer. It has the warmest feel, but also in a cool finish. And that's something that the mountains create, that cool finish. And this is my favorite style of Cabernet Sauvignon from West Coast. While on the floor end, if I want to treat myself with what the terroir or the earth gives me, then this is where I want to be. Oh yeah, if you're looking for very dry wine, the Napa Valley floor examples are the perfect styles for you. Next, number 4, in Sonoma, which is a little bit south of Napa Valley, represents a cool area with the Petaluma Gap. It's a little bit more of a fogged area, which actually creates a little bit less fruit than Napa Valley, and it creates a little bit more of that terroir earthiness. So if you don't want your wine as hot and big and bold as Napa Valley, Sonomas are the right way for you. And last, Paso Robles. And in Paso Robles, it's closest to the equator, so it's the warmest finish. It tends to have a little bit of a dust and terroir note, but because of how rich and warm the wine is, you don't get a chance to really taste it because the fruit is so jammy and warm. So I hope you get an understanding of what the flavor guide would be to your West Coast Cabernet Sauvignon. Well, I hope you enjoyed the information to help you remember your favorite style of West Coast Cabernet Sauvignons. It's important that you remember because my industry does a terrible job of just presenting everything up front because here, taste this wine, so to speak, from any representative in our wine industry. And then you taste it and you say, oh, it's fantastic. And then you forget about it. Well, let this video help you out to find that style and keep your favorite wine for you in that memory bank. And then you can stay in that certain area and look around and try the different recipes that the winemakers offer in that particular area. My personal favorite, I love that mountain area in Napa Valley, like Howell Mountain, Diamond Mountain, Spring Mountain, Mount Veeder, the roasted fruit. That is the wine for me. But I'm just one opinion. But if I'm able to inspire you to try these different styles of Cabernet Sauvignons from the West Coast and you enjoy it, then I serve my purpose. Check out the examples at the bottom of the screen. Leave us some feedback. We hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next week.